Hi, I'm Graham and welcome to Man vs Film. This is going to be a list of top 10 movies that you can watch on Amazon Prime US for September 2017. So let's get started. Number 10. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. When best friends Bill S. Preston and Ted Theodore Logan are in danger of being separated and having their band Wild Stallions broken up because they're failing history, a time traveller from the future gives them a telephone booth so they can travel through time and ace their history report. I love Bill and Ted's. I think it's a movie that stands the test of time, even though it is very much rooted in the 80s. It has a ridiculous plot about a future world that is saved thanks to these two guys' music. And these two guys are the most lovable losers that you're ever likely to meet. And through their adventures, they stumble into various spaces in time and various historical figures. And basically, when you break this movie down, it is all about these guys trying to get an A on their history test. It's crazy, but it works. It's funny. You love these characters. You love to see them on their adventure, and I think it is a movie that just puts a smile on my face whenever I watch it. Number 9. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. The world of our future is in danger when a would-be conqueror threatens to throw history off track by sending back robot versions of Bill and Ted to kill their counterparts. Finding themselves dead, the boys must outwit the Grim Reaper, traverse heaven and hell, and return to the land of living and rescue their women and have the most triumphant concert at the Battle of the Bands. I love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but I prefer Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey even more because it is even more ludicrous than the first one, and they just throw, again, everything at the screen that they possibly can. It's got the Grim Reaper in it, it's got robot versions of Bill and Ted, it's got a play on the Seventh Seal in this movie that I've not a lot of people would really know what that movie is, but they reference it in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. You've got these two guys on their adventure, just being typical wild stallions as they have been, and I think it's a great movie. So you can get the double bill of Bill and Ted, and I think these are definitely worth watching. Number 8. The Woman in Black. A young solicitor struggling with work after the death of his wife is sent to a remote village to settle the estate of a deceased eccentric woman who owns the manor. But he soon discovers that the house of the client is haunted by the vengeful ghost of a woman dressed in black. I thought this was going to be the resurgence of Hammer, an old movie company from the 60s and 70s that had just did horror movies and did them expertly well, and this was very much in the vein of their old movies, and I was enraptured by this. It is gothic, it is atmospheric, it's a little bit spooky, a little bit scary, and got a good performance by Daniel Radcliffe. And if you're into your horror, this is very good, but please don't mistake it with the underwhelming sequel. Number 7. Superbad. Seth, Evan and Fogel are 3 teenage boys. When the trio are invited to a party, they plan on how to get the alcohol, even including Fogel's new fake ID, but things won't go as smoothly for the trio. It's a teen comedy, and like most movies, it's got a little bit more to it which elevates it above the typical kind of thing. It's about separation anxiety between these two guys who've pretty much spent their entire high school life together, and now inevitably they're going to have to part their ways, and they know it's getting to that, and as much as they want, they try to rail against it and fight against it. And this movie, based over one night, is pretty much about these two guys coming to terms with the fact that they're going to have to part. As a bonus, this movie is incredibly funny even now, with such laugh out scenes and such crazy characters as Fogel, McLovin, and I think if you haven't seen this in the longest while, it's time to check it out again because I absolutely adore Superbad. Number 6. Chef. Carol Casper is an acclaimed chef with a family life that seems as decaying as his artistic freedom. Those frustrations boil over into a viral videoed public confrontation against a restaurant critic. Now with his career ruined, Carol undertakes an unorthodox solution in Miami of refitting an old food truck and taking his cooking on the road. Chef was one of those movies that I kind of wrote off before I even saw it, and then when I sat down I found myself captivated by this character and the other characters in the movie as well. You get a kind of cliche story about Carol reconnecting with his son, but other than that, this is a movie that makes you hungry. It's kind of like food porn. It tells a great story about this van just going on the road, the guy doing what he loves, making people happy, creating food that people just love to eat, and just healing himself through the act of doing what he wants to do on a much more controlled scale. Number 5. The Dark Zone. Johnny Smith is a young school teacher with his whole life ahead of him. Unfortunately, after leaving his fiancee's home, he is involved in a car crash. When he wakes up from a coma, he discovers that he has lost 5 years of his life, and he now has the ability to see into other people's lives, past, present and future. Christopher Walken stars as Johnny, the man with this psychic tendency, and one day he meets Martin Sheen's senator, and when he touches his hand, he sees that he is going to become the president and ultimately destroy the world in a nuclear strike. So he takes it unto himself to try and stop this, to assassinate a public figure, and it kind of role reverses because you're seeing everything from the Assassinator's story, what he sees, what he knows, how bad this Martin Sheen character is, and it makes you kind of root for Johnny, the Assassinator, in this movie. It's based on a Stephen King novel, it's one of the better adaptations, and Christopher Walken gives a tremendous performance. Number 4, Breakdown. A man and his wife are driving cross country when their new car mysteriously breaks down. A truck driver stops to assist them, and by taking his wife to the nearest diner to phone for help, but in reality is kidnapping her, causing her husband to track down his wife and the kidnapper himself. Kurt Russell stars in the movie as the man whose wife is stolen from him. It's really nicely shot. It's kind of lots of desert scenes, lots of highways, lots of loose ends for Kurt Russell's character to try and find his missing wife. It's a really interesting plot, quite mysterious. I try not to give you too many plot points here because I think it's a really interesting thriller, the kind of which we don't really see much getting made anymore, which is a real shame. And it just shows yet again why I love Kurt Russell, because simply he's tremendous in just everything that he's in. Number 3 is Val Killing. In Nazi Germany during World War II, as the tide turns in favour of the Allies, a group of senior German officers and politicians desperately plot to topple the Nazi regime before the nation is crushed in an inevitable defeat. Directed by Bryan Singer and starring Tom Cruise, this is a true story that I didn't know anything about going in to watch it, and I found it extremely tense, extremely exciting and very well shot. There's some great army scenes at the start in Africa where Tom Cruise's character is fighting. When it gets to the sort of plot to assassinate Hitler, it gets extremely tense, and that made me sort of really clutching the arms of my chair, worried about what was going to happen, and ultimately I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to watch the movie yourself to find out what happens. Number 2 is High Noon. Lawman Will Kane is told that a man he sent to prison years before, Frank Miller, is returning on the noon train to exact his revenge. Having initially decided to leave, Will decides he must go back and face Miller. However, he seeks the help of the townspeople he protected for so long, they turn their back on him. It seems that Kane may have to face Miller alone as well as the rest of Miller's gang. High Noon is a movie that I had never heard of a few years back, and then being told to watch it, I checked it out and I found a masterpiece of movie making. It is all about this character, and it's all about how he feels, how he deals with situations, the tensions that go on, because he can flee the town before this man gets there. But there's a sense of pride, there's a sense of knowing that this man will always hunt him down and he has to deal with the situation. It is facing your fears and your problems, not hiding away from them. And then you have the fact that all these people that he spent his life protecting and looking after just turn their back on him. How he can't rely on anybody. It's a really good Western movie. It's got an exciting plot as everything is basically ticking down to noon. And yeah, it's fantastic. You should definitely watch this one. And number 1 is An American Werewolf in London. 2 American college students are on a walking tour of Britain and are attacked by a werewolf. One is killed, the other is mauled. The surviving student begins to have nightmares of hunting on 4 feet at first, but then finds that his friend and other recent victim appears to him, demanding that he commit suicide to release them from its curse. John Landis's terrific werewolf movie that hands down has the best transformation scene ever put to film, along with some great musical cues throughout this. This is a movie that has haunting visuals, some bloody gore, some terrific soundtrack choices, and a movie that I never tire of watching. Granted, it's been a few years since I've seen it, but I put this on and it was like putting on a comfortable pair of shoes. It just slipped right into it. I enjoyed the movie, I knew it was coming, and I had so much fun watching it again. This is one of these movies that just I'm never going to tire of watching, but it always seems to get skipped by or forgotten about every now and again. And with October coming up, I want to kickstart my horror watching, which is why it's my number 1 for this month. So thanks for watching my video. If I've missed anything, or do you think there's something that I should have had on my list that I didn't, let me know in the comment box below and it may make next month's list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man vs Film.